Hey, Internet! It's Paul! It's Matt! The Dork Lords! Happy continued holidays, everybody! This feels, deja vu happening here.
Yeah,
all right, and we are talking today about Counterpart, Season 2, Episode 3, Something Borrowed. Tell us what you think it means!
Yes.
The title. That would be great. All right.
Don't waste 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, attempting to come up with an explanation and then getting frustrated and turning off.
And then at the beginning, everything all over again.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're
not doing that.
Don't do that.
We're not doing that here,
do that.
for
Nope.
sure. Okay. So, a lot happens plot-wise. The plot gets pushed forward a lot in this particular episode. We will try to encapsulate all the different ways that the plot gets pushed forward. But, quick recap. We start with Baldwin. We see Baldwin, and she still has feelings for Greta.
Yeah.
Her girlfriend that she, walked out on.
She spooked her.
So she's very
She walked on.
creepily.
She was getting walked out on.
She got walked out on. Yes, good point. And Greta was one of those people that I was like, how did she survive the season? But she survived, and she continues to survive. I just, the more that Baldwin hangs around
Could you
her,
imagine that Baldwin would have to kill her?
maybe. I mean, when there's a scene, if you remember back in season 1, when the breakup happens, where Greta's like, "Oh, I found this gun. I see that you are not the person you claim to be.
Yes.
Basically, I know that you're lying and you're false for some reason,
Right.
and you have a gun and you're like a bad person. Like, if you're an assassin and you've got someone who knows that kind of information about you, you probably don't want that person alive. You probably want to bump that person off because they can tell on you. Now,
I guess.
Baldwin did. I mean, obviously, Baldwin feels for her, but I'm saying.
Well, I mean, within the, yes, maybe generally yes. But in this particular situation, It's like, wait a minute, are you from another universe?
Right, exactly. I agree with the other universe. I'm just saying, she could call the cops. She said, I'm going to call the cops, I believe, at one point. She's like, I'm going to, anyway. There were all kinds of reasons why it's like red flag, plus the idea that somebody might use Greta against Baldwin. Like, in other words, a third party might get to her that way. It's just, you don't want to be involved with an assassin.
I hear you. Yes.
All right.
I think it was reasonable to think that might be, but there's so much going on in that first season, they didn't need it.
So she survived so far, although Baldwin's trying to put her in more danger. Because Baldwin is creepily watching her from a dark alley while they do like a German version of Just Call Me Angel in the Morning. I remember that. And Greta's moved on. She's got another life partner now, got another, and she walks off, and as Baldwin watches her true love shun her, basically, because they do make eye contact, and Greta's like, boo you.
Well, she's sort of like, what do you want? And then, like, I'll just rub my life in your face.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Again, don't do that to an assassin, but okay, fine. Because Baldwin is kind of caught up in the moment, she's caught unawares, and she is kidnapped.
Yep.
By some other prime agents. We haven't seen these people before.
No, we never have.
But they're some kind of an intel team.
Yep.
And they kidnap her as a leverage, bargaining chip. And so I guess we'll just follow that plot line through real fast. So that group, these prime agents, contact Howard Prime, who again is trapped on the Alpha side, to say, hey, we need your help. We're thinking about finding Lambert and handing him over because we know that the office wants him.
Right.
So if we can do that, we can make a trade maybe for ourselves.
Right, and they're not content with Howard Alpha telling them, just relax.
Howard Prime.
Howard Prime, you're right. Howard Prime telling them, just relax, because of the exposure that Claire made of one of their agents.
Right.
So it wasn't even a day, and they took
one
of
they
their
took
agents.
him, boom, he's gone. Brant. So they're taking that as a symbol of this is what will happen to us. We need to do something. Howard Prime is like, stop with the thing. You're going to blow everybody's cover. But they seem determined. So they bring Howard into the mix. And the reason they bring Howard in is because when they captured Baldwin and they asked Baldwin, where's Lambert? She said, well, Howard Prime is over here.
I'm only talking to Howard Prime.
and I'm only talking to him.
Yeah.
So that's how he gets pulled in. Baldwin didn't know where Lambert is either, but she wants Howard Prime to help her.
Yeah. Initially, she
Yeah.
gives the "why don't you kill your friends" nod.
Yeah, that was great. He's like, so what did you expect me to do here? And she just does this like looking over. In other words, you could kill everyone in the next room. He's like, nah, no, not doing that.
Yeah, one thing he says there, which is they're his friends and he knows their families.
Yeah.
Was it different for the people, like for that want to beat his ass, or anybody who looks like him that we'll discuss in the next scenes?
Good point.
They were assholes.
Yes.
So I betrayed them happily.
Right. So they make a deal. He says, okay, fine. Because she basically says, hey, look, you're in trouble too, basically. And I could get you in trouble if you don't play ball with me. So...
And he was all like, "Oh, why did I save your life?
Yeah, I could just
why?
kill you.
Why?
I gave you money and you were stupid." She's like, "Well, you didn't leave either." So he is determined to go figure out where Lambert is, but he's also very worried about if Lambert gets captured. Lambert knows a lot, and I think things that he doesn't want revealed. So he's like, "I can't." His deal is, "I'll find him. You kill him."
Yep.
That's what he tells Baldwin. Baldwin's like, well, it's fine with me.
Yeah.
I got no...
Have to be my specialty.
Yeah. So that's the plan is he finds him, he finds Lambert, Baldwin kills Lambert. We then see, we'll just keep, again, on this particular thread. At the end, Howard Prime shows up at Peter... and Claire's house, sits down with them, let's have an adult conversation. We need to take care of Lambert.
Yeah.
And they, as it turns out, are in a
like
position
you.
to agree.
I don't like you, you don't like me.
Yeah. Which we'll talk about. But yeah, they realize that Lambert is onto them. And so that's it's a very fortuitous meeting, in fact.
Yes, it
for
is.
them. They're like, oh,
it is.
Well, perfect. We've got some master assassins and spies helping us out to deal with our problem.
And it's one of those, maybe they wouldn't be in this situation if they had this meeting some time ago.
Right. Right. Although would they have been in a position to agree to it? Would they have had the foresight to think, oh, Lambert's on to us, we should get rid of him? Or would they have been like, let's just lay low? I don't know. But yes, you're right. If they had dealt with Lambert earlier...
Well, to see what their situation is, because at least as we'll talk about, they were working at cross purposes.
Yeah. Yes, they were. So, let's talk about Lambert then. So Lambert has a very interesting lifestyle here on this side. We've learned that he and Prime and Alpha live together. Basically have the same personality type. It seems like they're both like big narcissists.
Well, I mean,
as far as we know, as opposed to like the two Howards, not really working.
Right. Well,
these guys are like, yay!
That's like the exception to the rule.
Right. What do you mean? What, you think the Howards are an exception to the rule?
Yes.
Well, just from what we've seen.
The whole point of let's get somebody's other to study all of them because it's the same. And that's what everybody keeps saying, like, oh, that's why everybody wants to fight when they see each other because they're so the same.
But that's the point. They want to fight when they see each other.
Right. I know. I'm just saying, like,
I see what you mean.
The template is that you should be like your other person.
I got you.
So that's irrelevant.
Okay.
That's duh.
All right. Okay. Good point. I guess, yeah.
He's depraved, so the other guy.
Gotcha. All right. So be it. Yeah, good point. They want to kill the fact that they don't want to kill each other is odd. But the fact that they're alike is not odd.
Right.
Got it. So...
And I think that want to kill each other is stupid.
I kind of do, too. I'm not really getting that. I mean, like, we were told that last episode. We were shown it. It was episode 1 when we see the footage of the two guys fighting.
Yeah, I think that's such a strange...
And then Yannick tells us that this time. Like, oh, of course, when two people see each other and they want to destroy.
He's destroying your life, isn't he? He's destroying your life?
Which is also the microcosm of these two worlds.
Yeah,
the idea that the two want to destroy each other so that there's only one world left.
Right.
But again, yeah, I'm not sure that. And
even
in fact, it is Howard Alpha says, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
So hopefully that means
Well, that
premise isn't true.
I feel like in one of the interviews we've seen with the showrunners, like, while they might feel they need to destroy each other, it's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, yeah. So that particular proposition is being questioned in the show as well. Which, I come out on the Howard Alpha side of, I don't think that's a guarantee. Sure, could I imagine that situation happening? Yes, but is it like a nope? You put two people in the room, they're gonna take out pencils and stab each other in the eye.
And it seemed like the one woman who was living with her husband,
right,
had
who's
come
now
to
dead,
a similar arrangement as Lambert.
Yeah, good point.
And Lambert.
Right. So they kind of have like a threesome.
It's like a kill or question.
Go. let's
Get
lay
freaky.
down together.
Yes.
And cuddle.
Yes. Cuddling.
Cuddling with your other.
Yes.
I
like cuddling.
There was you tell us in the comments, but I had a feeling that they may have even been switching. I can't remember the comment, but I got something from the conversation that Lambert was having with Lambert, that maybe at some time the person that we thought was Lambert Prime was actually Lambert Alpha.
He asked him if he would do this task for him.
Yeah, and they both had the facial hair. I mean, they both look the same, and so I think maybe they've been operating as one person basically, where they're so that what one knows the other knows. Anyway, I don't know. Just a thought. If you saw that out there, if there was some line or something that you got,
there
was
a line.
I just can't think what it was, but anyway.
Yeah, it was like when he arrived, basically, and he was having sex with a woman, and probably just after she left or something, he was like, could you do this, go to the shop or something like that.
So you'd want to probably bump them both off if you were trying to bump off Prime, because Alphas probably knows just as much as Prime does.
Yeah.
Anyway. Lambert has met with Claire at a rendezvous in the park, and basically he's like, hey, why didn't you set this thing up yet? You should have done this days ago. And she's like, look, I got a family. This being the secret cell part 2. And then Lambert says, hey, there's these counterfeiters. I need you to handle this. Here's the address. I'm a lamb on the lamb, so I can't do it. You go do it. What we find out is Peter's been listening in. Peter's got away. He's bugged him somehow. The shoe.
Yeah.
Good point. Peter bugged the shoe.
I think he was like listen, and it was like, was that the shoe?
Yeah, right. Skirky.
Oh, there's some conversation.
Splash in the water. So he hears this address, and he also realizes Claire is still working for the other side.
Yeah, when she said she's had no contact, it's lied.
So that's one thing. But the other thing is Lambert, having realized that when Brant got brought in, he's like, there's a mole basically. Somebody is talking, and he suspects it might be Claire.
Yeah, what's interesting to me, I guess, is that she couldn't have told him, give me somebody to give to my husband just so they don't suspect him.
Yes.
I think that, I feel as if that would have been okay. Instead of just, I'm going to give somebody to you without checking it with the other people. Unfortunately, it's like sacrificing people. That should be all part of the, obviously Peter's still very important. So
yeah, they handled it poorly. You're saying?
Yeah.
So it's a trap. It's a trap. Lambert has set up I guess we don't have 100% confirmation of that, but that's what it is. Because at first Peter thinks that maybe Claire trapped him when he comes home.
It's truly a trap.
But in other words, Peter at first thought Claire had set him up to try to kill him.
Right.
And it turns out, and I think that the more accurate depiction of what actually happened is that Lambert was suspicious of Claire, so set up a
Yeah,
trap
well, that's
for Claire.
what he was saying when he was laying with his other, is that
Right, we'll find out.
we'll find out.
Yeah, is she loyal? We'll
Can
find
we-
out.
yeah.
Can we trust her? So yes. So it
And
was
you
a
know,
trap.
she's like, my cover's blown now. She knows that he knows. That's
So-
why she was like, "Oh, what are you talking about? Would you start making sense, please? What did you do?"
Thanks to the presence of Naya, the former FBI agent, Peter is lucky again.
Yes.
Gets saved to the last second because he's like, "Duh, it's a phone, okay." She's like, "Duck down," and so I don't think anybody dies.
No, there's one of their agents dies.
Does he? Okay. So yeah, the place gets shot up.
Yep.
Peter realizes, oh, it was a trap. I just got trapped. Naya's like, call it in.
Yeah.
There are people. Call it in, and again, he's just so bad at his job. God bless that guy. And so when he goes and confronts Claire, again, not the
He's
smartest
the
thing
domino
either,
of Counterpart.
yeah. So Claire's like, oh, you were just doing your job, but you are so stupid. You just basically confirmed that we're working at odds against Lambert. So that's when Howard shows up. It's like, let's make a deal. Let's set up Lambert. And we see in the trailer for episode 4 that Claire is meeting with Lambert. So obviously they're setting up, trying to put him in a certain place and time so that Howard can get him.
Maybe.
Okay, so that is that side of stuff. Let's switch to the Emilys.
Sure.
Pretty interesting. So Emily Alpha, great scene, I thought, where she's starting to remember stuff.
Yeah.
And Howard Prime, it's like stuff that Howard Prime doesn't know.
Oh, yeah.
So she's like, you know how you used to read me the paper in that funny voice? Yeah, but look at the time. All right.
Yeah.
No time to test that theory out.
Yeah, she's like, I also remember you're a man of habit. You leave at a certain time. Before
like,
well, hey, I got a lot to do this morning.
Making new habits.
It's like, yep, making new habits.
And then she puts the scarf on him, which is pretty interesting because in the season where we saw the day of her accident, Howard's putting the scarf on her.
Yeah.
Howard is in that situation, Howard Alpha is the kind of innocent guy who doesn't realize that his significant other is a spy.
Yep.
And in this case, she's kind of, because of her memories clouded, she's kind of more of like, I don't know what's going on.
Right.
And he's the one with the agenda. And so it's kind of fun that they...
Yeah, and I think she's still testing him, because when she kisses him, she said it felt weird or whatever, and he probably hadn't kissed her in a long time. So he's sort of like, no, that was nice.
No, that was nice. They do a good job of that too. It does look awkward, but yeah, they're like, oh no, okay, that's cool. Good. Our lives are melding. That's good. I did notice this in the trailer again for episode 4. I know we're spoiling episode 4, but not really because it's like 15 seconds. But there's one shot in there that, unless it's cut weird, it appears to be Howard Prime yelling at Emily Alpha to say, you're just going there with an effing smile on your face, which is obviously not something that Howard Alpha would tell her. So it seems like he's like the duress of that moment is maybe breaking down, that he becomes more Howard Prime in that moment. Like I don't see Howard Alpha going, yeah, effing.
Yes.
Like the fact that
out
he's
of character for him to be probably so stern, perhaps, but we don't know because we haven't seen them together.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's kind of interesting that perhaps we see a break in the facade. When you're pushed, when you have that much duress, is there some moment where the real you shows up? And I think that's kind of a fun thing to play with. So
Maybe.
I got a glimpse of that there. Like, what the hell? Anyway. Emily Alpha is then visited by Naya. This pushes the plot a lot. I mean, it asks a lot of questions, but they're interesting questions.
Yeah.
So Naya shows up, shows her some pictures, kind of reveals to her, oh, and by the way, these are all these people that got killed off. Your coworkers, they all died. 18 people, we learned, got killed. And that's all news to Emily Alpha, taking that in for the first time. She even thinks the interesting moment here, which talks about oh, well, it can't be a mess that this place with Aldrich is still around.
Yeah.
She's like, Aldrich? Naya informs her, no, Aldrich was dead. He died at your hospital, and he was Shadow. Emily is very, kind of stridently, even though her memory's bad, she's like, no, I'm pretty sure Shadow was supposed to be a woman. So that's a clue to Naya that maybe Shadow's still around.
But that's the thing that we knew. The thing that we didn't know, or at least wasn't confirmed until that meeting, was that Emily did find information about what happened. I thought that, well, maybe that was last.
No, you're right. There's that comes later, though. I mean, well, we learned. You're saying the proof, or not proof, but some kind of report that says that the germ warfare was a thing that got brought over.
Yes.
Yeah, we learned that later.
That's from the other Emily.
That's the other Emily.
I got confused.
Yeah. So in this one though, there's a few things that are very, mysterious. When Emily Alpha, these are definitely little plot points for later, right? They're setting little breadcrumbs for these are things that will sprout to life later. Yes. So she mentions one of her memories is of an old church. It's not in town. It's by a river. And she says, like, oh, maybe it's my mother's memory, which is kind of weird. I'm like, how would you? Oh, unless her mom told her about it. Anyway, but she remembered going to this church, and in that church, she said, what's there? Secrets, things I learned about another world. And when Naya says, did you go to that world? She's like, yeah, I was there. What did it feel like? Well, it felt wrong. But so, in other words, there's some kind of I'm going to guess, some kind of written documents that are being held in an old church. There's something, maybe it's where the evidence of this disease, or something like that. Because she said it was these secrets, something she wasn't supposed to see. Right. She saw things she wasn't supposed to see. And so I'm going to guess that she saw this evidence of sorts that the disease that killed off the Prime side originated in the Alpha side. Because it seemed a little unclear as to whether it was an intentional or unintentional thing. But it's later when they're talking to Langston, the car dealership guy on the other side, he's like, well, they brought it over with them. But the way he described it wasn't like, and they injected a rat and they threw it into the thing. He made it seem like it was just a oops moment, but who knows? Again, it could easily be deliberate. But so I'm guessing that's the thing, that she being Emily Alpha, in this church by a river, there is some kind of evidence that maybe her mom, maybe she mentioned her mom, so maybe somebody in her family's kept. But there's evidence that Alpha side germ warfared or originated the disease that took out a whole bunch of the Prime side.
Sure. Well, you mentioned that preview, and there's a scene with Emily reaching into a...
Yes. So that's the other thing we learn in this is the Emily Prime has a conversation with... she does her own research on Emily Alpha because she's not sure. She thinks Emily Alpha is connected to Mira. Oh, that's another thing, real fast. Emily Alpha, when she's talking to Naya, she says there was something about a school and a plan. So that means, we kind of guessed this, but it's proof that Emily Alpha knew about Mira and the school.
Oh, yeah.
As well as, because she was in the coma the whole time last season.
Right.
But so that means, she knew about that stuff in advance.
Right.
And so there's still a little question as to, I think, at least from Emily Prime's aspect, she's trying to make sure that Emily Alpha wasn't part of the plan.
Right.
I think she's kind of like, what were her motives? So Emily Prime goes and finds these files and flips through the files, finds this guy Langston. There's a whole bunch of redacted info. I actually kind of looked through it to try to see, like, pause frames.
Oh, yeah.
And there's not much there. It's just she was having a conversation. She was seen having a conversation with Langston, and that's about it, basically. So Emily Prime tracks this guy down. He's a former office guy who is now works at a car dealership. again, his days may be numbered now that he's been talking to Emily
Yeah,
Prime. But
maybe.
but he he
Seems like the dangerous ones though are all on the other side.
he mentions that Emily told him she had hidden this info about the disease in a place that only she knew about.
Yeah, a place from her childhood.
From her childhood.
So
a favorite hiding place from her childhood. Emily Prime's like, well, then that means I know what it is. And then we do see in the trailer what we assume is Emily Prime pulling something out from like some brickwork. Maybe that's the old church.
Could be.
I know we don't get enough of the building to see.
I mean,
that,
that's we've seen scenes associated with Emily in a church in the first season. So where Howard, I guess it was Prime, had to go to get the letters that.
True, but I thought that was more in town and less outside of town. But maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, so that is interesting that I guess because Emily Alpha this is 10 years ago, is what it said, is what Emily Prime said. So 10 years ago, Emily Alpha was on this side, and that she chose to put the secrets that she had theoretically on the Prime side, as opposed to putting it in her favorite hiding place back on the Alpha side. Kind of interesting. So there's a lot of kind of mystery and secrets that are coming out about those two as both of the Emilys are trying to track their pasts.
And Emily Prime is keeping the fact that Emily Alpha had come over there, or at least not discussing it with management.
Yes, management seems almost like they know. They're like,
yeah.
Did you find anything else in this spot? She's like, no, I didn't find anything else. I don't know what you're talking about. That's true too. So in that conversation,
she's all telling everything to Ian though, so that's good that she's not.
So management doesn't want her to check out the house where one of management was killed. That's what management knows at the time. And so Emily Prime's like, screw it, I'm going to have Ian just go on the sly and check this place out. So he does. He finds, I don't think he realizes it's management, but he finds dead guy. And in talking to the neighbor, he realizes, he was out gardening, which is weird for this time of year. He wouldn't do that. So anyway, Ian goes and he finds one of the communication boxes, the one that actually Mira was trying to find, and tortured this guy. The guy had buried it in his backyard.
And too bad she was too evil to talk to the neighbors.
Good point. So Ian has found that thing, which will obviously be another big plot that'll sprout into something later. Do they end up using the device to listen in on management? Do they just go, hey, management, we found this box? I kind of feel like they won't do that.
Yeah. Wait, you don't think they're going to
just turn it in? I feel like somehow it gets used by somebody.
Interesting. Yeah, I can't think of. I mean, it's not crazy to think that it would be used, but I can't think off the top of my head.
Yeah, because it just feels like it'd be thrown away if it was just like, we found it. Yep. Okay.
I
feel like that's it for that.
I feel like the only people who have a use for it though is otherwise I can't see why Emily would want to use it.
I hear you. She doesn't trust management. She doesn't trust management at this point, right? She's like, why were they hiding this thing?
Yeah. So I guess that would, I guess it can also be used for them to communicate with each other, I guess. So.
Yeah. Yeah, when they're talking. So anyway, I don't know. I'm just thinking it might be that Emily Prime tries to use it on the sly somehow. We'll find out. But I think it has a bigger part to play, is my point. Ian, though, again, while he's doing, it's like, look, Ian's being helpful again and not being a jerk. He had to get in a jerk moment. So she gives him the info, and he's like, all right, fine, I'll go check it out. And then as he's leaving, he does the at the door moment. Oh, by the way. I mean, he doesn't say it like a jerk, but inside, he's throwing a dagger. He says, they put Howard in an Echo. It was this morning. He probably heard about it. He knows that she's going to be upset by that. It's just the fact that he held it that long, and then as he's leaving, he's like, oh, by the way, this morning they put your ex into that horrible camp. All right, bye. It just felt a little like, screw you, a little bit. And it obviously does have an effect on her. She
does have an effect on her. Yeah, I guess I didn't get that from.
You think that might have been the first thing he brought up was like, oh my God, did you hear? I mean, if he really was concerned. He only mentions that because he still is like, I want to hurt you a little bit, I think.
I feel like we didn't see the beginning of that scene. I think we cut to her telling him about the important things, like, I want you to do X, Y, and Z. And it's not like the previous episode where she had to convince him to help him, because there she was telling him, I need you to do this.
And I agree. It doesn't come off like he doesn't have a sarcastic air.
Because I feel like
it's
not. He can't.
There's
nothing she can do to change the situation. So I feel like, he just started letting her know.
Yeah.
So sorry, I don't get that.
Okay.
I mean, maybe it's there and I missed it.
I just feel like,
but
if you were like cognizant of her feelings, you would have done it in a different way than just toss it off at the end of your conversation. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you heard this. Yeah, that guy that you really cared about and kind of screwed me over for. Yeah, he's in a horrible jail. But okay. Anyway, so let's talk about then what is an interesting, maybe the most interesting aspect of this episode, which is Echo.
Wow.
So it is not Guantanamo, really. I mean, we were comparing it to Guantanamo when we hadn't seen it yet last episode, and while it has Guantanamo-esque qualities, I don't think this is the way.
Whips.
I don't think this is the way Guantanamo was run. I'll put it that way. Howard Alpha is sent to Echo. Not before though. This is interesting. The guy who's in with Mira, puts a little tracker, into a lozenge, and he's like, take these medications.
Yeah.
Now maybe this is just the show. This could be a practical thing, but if you give someone a lozenge, it's not going to stay in the body very long, right?
Right.
It's going to go through the digestive tract, and things happen, and it's gone.
Yeah.
Maybe like a day later.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
what is the point in that if it's just going to be gone like in a day?
One thing we saw was, in order to take them out, they had 3 different trucks.
They did.
And so they don't know where that place is.
So that's what I was thinking. Maybe it's just they were trying to figure out where Echo is, because they want to get a hold of Echo. Maybe that's the whole point. Is that,
or maybe they want to get some of those people that are in there.
Right. Use them as agents, perhaps, like Marcel, for instance. But yeah, so I think maybe it was a way to determine where Echo is.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Because it just seemed too short-term a thing to be like a long-term. We know we can track his every movement now.
He's still there.
Yeah. So, yes, he is very secretively taken off to Echo, but not that secretly, because now Mira knows where Echo is. And we meet another Prime. It's Prime Quayle, Peter Quayle. Echo is a prison for, at first I thought it would be a prison for alphas. It is not. It is a prison for primes, with the exception of Howard Alpha. And these are primes that they're trying to get secretive and, hidden information that they can use against the alpha their counterparts. So Peter Prime has been imprisoned for, it seems like, a while, in order to get information about Peter Alpha. And interestingly, he has no idea who Peter Alpha even is. When Howard tells him, "Oh yeah, you're deputy director strategy," he's like, "See, I'm cool over there. I'm important." But he didn't know that. Right, so all that time, Amigos would be like, "Yeah, we got you for a reason we're not
he said
telling
they
you."
told that he was important, but they didn't tell her why.
That was it.
So he knew that there was something about it because, but he imagined that he was...
You would think after all that time, I mean, obviously they're being secretive, so they're not going to tell him.
That's right.
But I would just be like, why? Tell me more. But yeah, so that's an interesting quality of the Prime side, that these people are imprisoned for this information. And you and I were talking a little bit before we started this, which is like, couldn't you just walk up to Peter Prime and then say, "Hey, we want to have a meeting with you"? Great, come on in. We want to hear whatever. You can make up whatever reason you wanted. Either you let him in on the whole bag. Hey, there's another world, and you got another, and we're going to talk about him. Or you could say, well, we're doing a census, and we need to get your information. Whatever it is, seems like he would voluntarily give up that information about himself to help the government or whatever. It's
Wait,
interesting.
though, but why would you so what unusual sexual practices are you into? Oh,
right,
it's one of those surveys. Yeah, here you go. All of it. There's so much.
Well, maybe you... So, I mean, obviously, Peter Prime knows about the other. So they do tell them that as part of this thing. So maybe it's just that, look, this is important. This side's trying to kill us. You saw the germ warfare. You probably lost some family members or know somebody got killed. We're trying to fight back. We need your help. Seems like you could do that instead of you're going to prison now for the rest of your life, for like the foreseeable future. It's an interesting choice that the Prime side makes to say like, nope. We're just going to imprison you. What do you think the reason for that is?
Besides, I don't know.
That they, is it a maybe do we think that the world at large in the Prime world knows about the other side? I feel like they don't.
Yeah, I don't feel that they do. Yeah.
And so maybe that's the reason that they're imprisoning these people for.
I mean, we don't know too many
extended
people from the Prime side who aren't involved in, this
Correct.
crime, right? We know that Emily and Howard's daughter is definitely not in that, and we also know that Greta is not. But I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head that that couple, but they were involved. They were.
You're talking about the Schmidts.
The Schmidts, yeah,
the
Schmidts.
That was a theory that we got right, and I believe there was a commenter on it that also got it correct that Spencer would show up.
Oh yeah,
Spencer shows up in this episode, and he and Claire have a conversation, which we predicted they might have. We'll talk about that in a second, but so just back to the base here for Echo. I keep calling it Echo Base.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. So they imprison these folks, but the thing is that the conditions in the prison, like there was a meeting there where James Cromwell, that'll do pig, is kind of the interrogator of this place, and he meets up has an interrogation session with Howard Alpha, and I was waiting for it to turn. I was waiting for the simple conversation to suddenly become, what if I remove one of your fingers kind of thing. But it didn't happen.
No.
He just talks to him and kind of like emotionally starts working on him of like, your other is trying to destroy your presence. You're just so nice and gentle, but you're stupid.
And it started to make me wonder if he's actually been manipulated in some way. Because Howard Alpha.
Okay.
Because everybody's making a big deal out of it. No, you're just like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Are you going to ever see the truth about her? Nope.
No, your other's a spy. Why aren't you a spy?
Yep.
You were asked to spy on us.
He's done so much. He's the exception to the rule where it's like, nope, I'm different than him. That's for sure.
Keep saying he's different.
So it makes me wonder if some other techniques were used on him to make sure that he's like that. I don't know.
Oh, in other words, in the past?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
It's crazy because we haven't seen any. And it would be, in a way, so like Total Recall level. Of like, you don't know that we've screwed you up this much. Because at some point we want you to, be triggered, I guess.
You brought up a good point too, which is, so one of the people that Howard Alpha recognizes in Echo is his old co-worker, Marcel.
Yes.
And if you remember back in season 1, Marcel was the guy who got promoted ahead of Howard Alpha and then promptly got murdered by Baldwin. Your point is, why is, do they still need intel on Marcel's other? Marcel's other has been dead for a while now. Why is Marcel still being held?
It's like, if you could just lay on this slab for a minute. Now, imagine you're Alpha Marcel. What would you do now?
What would you do now that you're dead? Would you come back to life, maybe? Would you be a zombie? So that goes more to the point that perhaps these people are there forever. Maybe it's like, you know too much. We don't want to let you back out. So enjoy the hospitality of Prison Echo. But I mean, it's interesting. Like, yeah, Marcel really has nothing else to give them, probably. So why is he still there? He's obviously very resentful of Howard Alpha.
Yes.
Because he feels like Howard Prime is the reason that he's there.
Yes.
And so he and
they don't buy that it's Howard Alpha, so.
Correct. Right. They think, well, they wouldn't put an Alpha in here. These are all primes. Beat you up. Bop, 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 bop. So Howard Alpha gets a beating. Yeah, that's... Oh, they also do mention... Yannick mentions he's looking at x-rays. He's like, dental records. That's the way you can tell these two apart.
Yeah, sure.
So that could also be a little... Stick a pin in it for later, too.
Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, he's like, that's the only way you can... Because you both grind your teeth, but dental records are different. Like, your dental records, your bicuspids are different from your others.
Fingerprints and stuff.
Yeah, and so that's the way you can tell
Okay.
whether it's a prime or an alpha. Which also, do remember, it wasn't dental records, but at the time, this is back in season 1, we noted, which was Emily, I'm forgetting which one. I think it was Emily Alpha suffered a break.
Yeah.
Remember? Like she got a broken arm or something, and it was just one of those little like, note to self. That would be a difference between the two of them. So that could come up later where we see some x-rays or something. So we brought it up, so let's bring this up real fast. The Claire Spencer meeting. Claire has this clandestine meeting on a bus with who she doesn't realize at the time is... So I guess she didn't see his name? Or maybe it's just like Spencer, could be a lot of Spencers, but... Because his name would be Spencer, obviously.
Right.
But...
Well, maybe it's like, meet whoever at this place.
Yeah, maybe it's just a guy. She doesn't know who it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But you would think she might have a little dossier on the guy, but... All right. No.
Why?
No. Okay. No.
I mean, one thing that they might do is, one of the terrorist activities, like keep information centralized so that too much, so you don't want to, now don't give this out to anybody else.
Yep. Boop. So she lets him know, continue your plan. He's like, I was waiting. It seemed like once they closed the crossing, we get to the next step. She's like, well, we had to wait for the right time. He's like, you don't recognize me, do you? That's when he lays it on her.
Looking around like, hey, okay.
She's like, don't look at me. She's like, what are you doing? Like, it's Spencer.
The whole point of me being in a different thing is so that you don't look around and creep me out.
They brought up an interesting, they deliberately had her earlier in the episode when she's with the baby, and she's like, oh, little Spencer. They reminded us she named her kid Spencer. As an homage to the friendship she had with this guy. So it's obviously incredibly important to her. Kind of transcended the politics of the time, or that friendship was something else. And I believe it was Mira who took them apart.
Yeah.
She saw that they were getting too close, and so she's like, oh, I sent him off. He's gone now.
Although I think she implied that it was this time for it to happen.
I think, true, but I think it was...
Yeah, but it definitely felt like it was because, you're not suffering enough.
It's like, I lost the braces. You don't recognize me. And the commenter, I think it was Heather Graham was the name of the commenter. That Heather Graham? No, probably not. But said, and I agree with this, that it doesn't seem that Spencer is wavering at this point. Like, we thought, we theorized that maybe Spencer would be the, the words of morality that might bring Claire away from her mission. But it seems like he's still a firm believer.
Yeah.
And Claire has other reasons to waver, which would be her family and the fact that now she's in danger from Lambert.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, so it could put her on kind of a collision course in that way. Although I also got the idea that Spencer, because Spencer's like, oh, it's good to see you. Maybe they start working out. They may have a clandestine relationship. But we might see a Spencer-Claire thing happening in the background, which would be yet another variable to that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if I had to guess, I'd say our scenes between those two not going to be that much. I mean, I think we'll start to see him preparing to do whatever he's supposed to do.
But we're definitely seeing them again.
Yeah.
Together.
Maybe.
I think together.
Probably.
Because there's got to be another scene where there's a change probably in her is what it would be, and maybe she's either maybe he's even sent to take her out, or who knows, but. I mean, I grant you that their current Claire and what's her husband? Peter.
Peter. Their situation is so untenable.
Yeah. They're literally living for the moment.
Yeah, it's just
tomorrow this will probably all blow up. Oh, Peter did also mention to her, by the way, I retaped a thing, a confession.
Yeah, let her know.
So I was like, oh boy. All right. Yep. Oof. He is the luckiest man in TV, so he has that going for him. But can it hold out for an entire season?
He's no Ray. Is that his name?
Oh, yes, right. Ray Nadeem, Daredevil season 3. His luck almost held out. He got what, episode 11 or something, 12?
See, but Peter, pushing the boundaries by letting him know I've created a tape. Ray was smart. I'm not telling anybody I created a tape.
Good point. He should have put that out there. A lot happened. A lot of interesting plot points, and we see, as you mentioned, they're really testing this nature of, can you be a product of your environment as opposed to your DNA? There's an interesting line there where Howard Alpha says to Yannick, I'm not him. And Yannick says something like, well, that's because you never had to be. I've never been like, you never had to be.
Right.
And so I think that's
what presumably the whole beating is supposed to signify.
Yeah, or that they're moving to that point of like, okay, we're going to put you in a situation where it would be advantageous to you to be essentially like Howard Prime.
I feel like that was the last thing we saw, though.
The last thing we saw, I think, was them sitting at the table. Okay. Howard Prime sitting with Claire and Peter.
I felt like it was.
I could be wrong. So I think that's the idea, is that they're going to set up a situation where, hey, it would really help you out to be a lot more like Howard Prime in this moment.
Wow.
And in that moment, will he be, or will he continue to be like Howard Alpha?
So. Die.
Anyway, there you go. That was episode 3. If you have some comments, theories, feel free to put them down. I will respond to said comments. And we'll be back with episode 4 next week.
Yes.
We're going to talk Night Flyers as well, and some other things, probably a little Lord of the Rings. Anyway, we'll throw some stuff in there. Bye, everybody.
Bye.